Meeting to order. The first thing we have is number 48, ordinance. Can you go over this with what the purpose is and everything on this?
Sure. So number 48 it has to do with essentially redrafting how the city's lead abatement health code is going to be enforced. The current version is not very workable or functional, and so it was repealed and recreated as 7.033 because basically it would adopt all the state laws and state procedures that the city already wanted to enforce. It just clarifies what the health department's responsibilities are by adopting state law.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
Kale, so this is not stricter than state law. This is just us enforcing the state law.
Enforcing what we could, we already can enforce in the state law, but making it enforceable in municipal court or enforceable in under
Okay.
our current employment situation here.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Then we have number 49, petition to exceed quota for the alcohol quota for Class B for Cream City Print Lounge. That's Nastasha Cole.
Is Natasha Cole here?
I am
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Come
come
on
on
up,
up.
Steve.
Oh, hey. You get to come up here?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone.
Now, this is something that, I heard talk of this later, but you're opening up a print shop.
We've opened it already.
That's open.
Yeah, so we've come to the city council
And
already.
you
So
want to serve alcohol at your print shop?
that was the beginning of it. We already,
Okay.
Mhm.
You already what?
we've already put this to the common council
Right.
already, so yeah.
Is that one of those, is that okay by the state? Because I know the state has a list that you only give liquor license to various places.
There are two possible exceptions that could apply. And so just to clarify, there's a rule about other businesses for Class Bs. So one of them would be potentially a novelty store, the other one could be a painting studio. The way that both of those places are, well, novelty store is not defined. Painting studio is defined in a way where it could apply. You're getting down to the very technical matter of what is art. It's almost you're getting onto that question. So at the end of the day, if the council wants to approve or deny, however it works, ultimately it's up to the licensee. Their responsibility is to make sure they comply with the other business provision. And it's not clearly prohibited by that provision. There are possible exceptions that would apply. So if the council feels comfortable proceeding with that, it should do so. If the council does not want to proceed that way, go ahead. But ultimately, the only person who could face possible consequences for violating that law would be the licensee if the state or someone else came down and argued that it violated that law. The city would not have any liability no matter what.
Somebody wanted to.
Sure.
This
This was for the T-shirt company, right? Or am I?
It's an interactive retail shop. So we do
T-shirts.
apparel, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
I haven't seen an application. Was there a full liquor application in on this yet? No.
No.
No, this is just to go over quota.
This is to see if we're gonna have a public hearing about going over quota.
This is to get the public hearing going.
To get a public hearing going.
Sure.
Like
So
communication.
I'm just curious how this business is gonna work. People pay, do you only book parties or people come as individuals?
They
People
come as individuals as well.
Okay, and,
So like print and sips. So we do print and sips. That's what we would like to do. But right now we're an interactive print studio. So we have our own retail line. So right now we're in full business already.
Yeah.
We've had our soft opening. We do that already. So we have our retail line. We have our retail store and we're an interactive print studio. So people can come in and we have our blank apparel. They can come in and actually print from our blank apparel and we'll teach them how to design their own apparel. So instead of just coming and saying like, we'll print you this or that, you can actually learn how to print your own and design your own. So if you go out of our website and on our Facebook, you'll see that people have already done private parties or come and do the print parties that we do already. So we do them at night. They're 2-hour parties. that we already do without the alcohol. But we would like to do the print and sips.
So a print and sip, again,
A print and sip is like the paint and sip that everyone does.
yeah,
Sip and
I haven't
go.
done that. You have to
Okay,
explain
well,
it. Not everyone has done that.
And
Have you
for
done
other
it?
people too, right?
Yeah,
They
so-
don't get out much.
so that's like the big thing that like a lot of people are doing, but there's not really too many paint and sips around or print and sips around the country. There's maybe 3 or 4 in the country now, and there's none in the area. So print and sips are, you can either do a private party or you can be part of our parties. So you would, if you're doing a private party, you can submit your own design and we'll have your screens available. So maybe you can do birthday parties. Like we just had a birthday party where they submitted their own designs and then they had a party of maybe 15 people in there and then everybody came and designed their own. So we taught them how to interactively design their own and then everybody came out with customized shirts. So shirts and hoodies. So we have different kind of setups. So you can come out like this here, here, and you can like customize them so everybody comes out with like one of a kind shirts. And it's kind of a little fun thing to do as a family or.
So we're not really
Friends.
that concerned about the printing part, it's the sipping part. People pay a flat fee to come for 2 hours, and that includes.
Depending on the apparel. that
Okay,
you get.
and now let's get back to the sipping part. Do they pay separately for alcoholic beverages, or how does that work?
It's complimentary. So you complimentary includes like 1 or 2 drinks, depending on if we get this license. So-
Well, that's
So-
what the license is about,
Right, so you
is about dispensing
complimentary-
alcohol, yeah,
right.
so.
It's
yeah.
complimentary. We take the IDs and then you get a complimentary drink with it.
So if you come, you pay, did you say $20 or do I have $20 in my head?
That's in your head. But
Whatever it is. So you pay a fee
you pay a fee
and come for 2 hours
and come for 2 hours.
and design and create your own custom shirt. And how much do you drink? You get one drink. You get one drink. And what if somebody wants another drink?
Then you can pay for another drink.
Okay, so you'll sell other drinks on
We
top
will.
of that. Okay. And this will all be laid out in their business plan, I assume, that we're gonna get if we decide to go over quota for
Correct.
this. And how many employees? are you gonna-
It's me and my co-owner.
Okay, and I think you're renting from Mike Hottinger, right?
Yes.
Okay, and if I understand correctly, you also won like a downtown West Dallas bid entrepreneur contest with this idea, but they couldn't find a spot in the downtown for you.
Correct.
And so they're kind of helping with this to move over to
Yes,
80th
sir.
and National, so, okay. So I think that's my question.
Mr. Chair? I come there and I get my T-shirt printed.
Yes.
And I get my 1 complimentary drink,
Yes.
and I want to have another one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have to buy that one,
You
correct?
do.
Okay, now, 1 isn't doing it for me. Now I want to buy 3 and 4, and guess what? There's a football game on tonight, and I want to watch that. How long can I stay there?
Until we close.
And what time is that? I don't have your hours of operation.
You can only be there for the 2-hour session because then we're gonna have another 2-hour session after that. You gotta go.
2 hours max.
2 hours.
No, I get that, but what's preventing me? Why couldn't I stay there longer? Why couldn't I? You know what? I'm going to make another T-shirt.
Because we have another 2-hour session after that.
Right, but I'm going to be in that one too.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
this
if you
could turn
signed
into a
up-
bar, is what I'm saying.
Well, we're not a bar though.
No, I know that's what we always hear. And if I remind the committee that we've turned down funeral homes for this and hairstylist places for this already in the past.
Yeah,
Okay,
Mr.
but-
Chair. And following up on what Alderman Rote is concerned about, and yeah, that was my concern too. What is, even more directly, what is in place to keep an establishment like this, once we grant the license, to becoming later on, at some point, once they have that license, a full-fledged, regular old bar? And, well, we and I guess I'm looking at you, Kale, we have a business plan. If they're violating the business plan, then we have recourse to go after the owner and say you're not not in compliance with your business plan. Is that correct?
The answer is simply that the council need to enact an ordinance that allows the imposition of conditions upon alcohol licenses.
And we haven't done that yet.
No.
Yeah,
I've spoken with this in the past and suggested in the past. This would be a great example of one where upon granting the license, you could place whatever conditions upon it that would satisfy your concerns. And that's really the main part of it. And for what it's worth, the other comment that Alderman wrote said, a funeral home or a hairstyling business is clearly not one of the other businesses allowed. And so that's one where it might be prohibited by state law. So I would not advise the council to grant a license for either of those establishments just because it's clearly not one of the ones allowed.
Mr. Chair?
Wait.
So you're open now,
We are,
and are you making money now?
we are.
Okay, so if there was a couple of weeks, couple of month delay in the possibility of you adding liquor, you were talking about beer, wine, and liquor? Okay. I mean, would that severely hurt you guys? I mean, you're looking for this as improving it makes it more of a niche business. I get that, and a draw and all that. But there's some concern on the committee here that that 2 years from now, this isn't what we thought it was gonna be, and it isn't in what you thought it was gonna be. And we wanna be able to make sure that, and I'd sponsor an ordinance to enable the council to, but so that I think you hear the concern here, is that you're sitting here telling us it's gonna be one thing, but until we have the ability to make sure that it is that thing, that there may be some reticence. for
I
us to
hear
grant-
you,
yeah.
but I also would encourage you to look into the many patent slips that are out there. I mean, this model
There's one in the
is,
Tosa Village, I think. right?
yeah, this model is everywhere now. I mean, it's kind of blown up. And we are just taking that model and putting it into a print and sip.
Mhm.
And this is not turned into like a bar atmosphere at all. It's,
See, think about it could. Let's say the printing thing, let's say that it doesn't take off. And business isn't that good, so you start having people just coming in just to drink and stuff, just trying to pay your bills. That's what we're concerned about.
however,
You know.
we have done retail for over 10 years. So that's not something that we are moving to just
Right.
go right into bar and we're
Right.
just gonna do that. So,
It could become widely successful. You could franchise this and have 3 more of these open in a year and have someone else running this location. And we granted this license on your word, and you could have a manager or a different owner or operator in there. Okay, you understand?
I understand your concern.
What I'm saying
but-
is, we're gonna, as expeditiously as we can, enable ourselves to make sure that your business stays what you say it's gonna be.
Sure, and I understand that, and I get adding the extra, whatever you're talking about, adding that extra part of it. But our main part of this is print.
Right.
So.
Yes,
Right.
and we hear you saying that.
Yeah, we aren't doubting you.
Okay.
We are doubting other people that would come along. And
People-
try and do
People
something.
come in front of us and say all kinds of things that don't work out.
Okay.
Okay, but the thing about it is that we could still approve this to move on. It's just a matter of scheduling when we're gonna schedule the public hearing, correct?
Yes.
And,
Mr. Chair, I didn't want to interrupt you. I was about to move approval, but.
no, I just say, you had something on the fees? You had a question on the fees?
Yes, because of the condition of the contest, you had requested that the $100 fee be waived.
Sure.
The fee we charge for the public
Mhm.
hearing. So that's another part of the request.
But who,
Sure.
you won that, you won it from the downtown?
Yes.
Are they gonna pay the money? Where's, the downtown's giving away our fees?
I'm not aware of what this contest is or what the condition and terms of it were, but I would highly recommend that the council not issue any type of specific fee waiver for any license. That would be very unusual. So if someone wants to come up with the money
Well, this
to,
isn't for the license, this is for the public hearing?
or any portion of
Okay.
the actual hard cost the city incurs for licensure, I think whoever awarded this money, I'm hoping and assuming would have the funding to cover the cost.
Mr. Chair?
This,
Sounds like
okay, okay.
bid director is here, she's.
Director, she says.
That's what I was gonna say.
So this here has nothing to do with the funding. This motion will be.
I move approval.
Second.
Mr. Chair.
Further discussion, Alderman Me.
So the two items that were before us this evening, we're both claiming that they're going to be item, license number 120 out of 120, which means we already have one that's already over quota as well. And in the past, going to Alderman Barzak's idea is usually it has to be something that brings additional employment, additional tax base, those sorts of things to the city. I don't know that this does that. And I love the model. I'd probably go there with my wife and some friends. That being said, I don't think that fits what we've been saying we're willing to go over quota for. And so that's my concern with this. We're going to open it up to a public hearing, which is great, but in the end, why have them spend $100 if, I don't know if we're comfortable with it or not as a whole council, but I don't know if I'm comfortable going over quota for this.
Okay, first of all, I gotta say that Alderman Barzak said that, I still don't agree with that, like I've said it in the past. Because what that does is kind of shuns the small business. It's like an anti-small business thing. When you say, well, you gotta spend all the money and bring all these people in, otherwise we can't give you a license over a quota. I disagree with that. I think that if it's a endeavor that we figure is going to help our community, something unique for our community, I think we can do it. I'm not saying I'm totally gonna be in favor, but I'm just saying that I,
Okay.
differ to you on that issue, so.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weidman.
And I'm gonna say I would agree with you 100% on that, but I also want us to have the ability to
Right.
keep it what she's promising it's gonna be.
Right.
So,
So this, the vote and the motion is to move it ahead for the public hearing.
I do have one more question, if I could,
Alderman
Mr.
May.
Chair. So when people make a license application, how long could that application sit in queue to wait for a license to become open?
As long as it's a new license application, I have yet to find any requirement that the council act on it within a certain period of time.
So hypothetically, a person can make an application, and in 3 or 4 months, if one opens up, we could just make a first in, first out rule where, suddenly we're one below quota, you're the next in line as the applicant.
I mean, theoretically, I think the only limitation on that is you obviously have to apply for a specific year. And so,
and location.
specific year and location, and so you would need to maintain then the availability of that location, and if 1 year would pass, you have to then reapply.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weidman.
I just wanna make sure that this public hearing doesn't automatically get scheduled before we get this neighborhood ordinance enacted.
You schedule public hearings.
Typically, and when we get these things approved, it's usually the next available one, which will be December 3rd.
But we'll have
But
to have
if you're,
this.
you can make it as part of a condition of your motion that you hold off to a specific date to direct me to do
Is
that.
that,
Well, we don't know how
Hold
long
legal
it's
I
water?
don't know
gonna
what the
take.
date's gonna be.
So, the most important thing is that if the council wants to impose a condition, that ordinance simply has to be passed prior to granting this one, so it has to be passed and effective, which means that you have to pass the ordinance at one meeting, and then the subsequent meeting is when you'd approve the license with the conditions, because at that point it'd be effective. Because it's not effective the day of passage, it's effective the day of publication. So, that'd be a 1 meeting delay between enacting the
Right.
ordinance and approving this license,
So we could have the public hearing
certainly.
as soon as possible.
Right.
As well
And
as
that would,
have,
that would tell them whether the neighbors are okay with it and the entire council's okay with it.
Mr. Chair, in addition to that, as Cale said, you could get the license, it can be on the agenda, and you can hold off action on that
Mhm.
license as well.
Okay.
So I think maybe we, Mr. Chair, if I could
Go ahead.
continue, I think maybe we should schedule this public hearing soon, or as soon as it fits in the schedule. And that way, the applicant will know whether the council is willing to grant an overall license.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman May.
I thought if a person made an application that they were held to the rules that were in place at the time of application, not at the time that it's granted. So for example, like for property, right? I mean, someone wants to open up a concrete plant and makes an application, and then in between, the city changes the law and says, no, you can't have. So if the application is already made, are they subject to whatever new ordinance we would have, or the ordinances we have them now?
It's all about when does property rights attach.
Right. So it's with the license on this case.
The license is, when you apply for a license, you don't have a right at that time. Your
Mhm.
rights attach at the moment the council grants the license.
Okay.
However, if you're gonna do redevelopment or something, there are cases out there saying your rights attach the day you get a permit,
Mm-hmm.
before you've constructed anything. So that's the difference in those two timelines.
You have a certain property right with the property. When you got it. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Good job, Kate.
Never knew that.
Do you understand what's going on?
No.
No. So, we're only
Good.
5 members of the council, and we haven't seen your application yet, but we're, I don't know, if nervous is the right word, we wanna make sure that what you say you're gonna do is what
Sure.
ends up being done. We don't really have the full ability to manage that at this point. We're gonna go forward with the public hearing on whether the full council and your neighbors, they'll be invited
Mhm.
to chime in, on whether they think that your business should get a liquor license.
Okay.
And at that point, you'll know, we're still gonna do that legislation that's gonna let us manage all liquor licenses a little bit better going forward.
Mhm.
So this may delay your thing a little bit, but there's still no promise that you're gonna get a license. You understand?
Mhm.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, then we have number 50, these are various license and applications.
Second.
You said that?
How does it do that?
Second, Rhodes seconded.
Yes.
Is there any further
Way
discussion on
down
these?
here on the north
All in
end.
favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Number 51 is a second dealer's license, 112784.
What building is that?
Look at the picture.
11, yeah, that'd be on the west side of the street.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, faces the Fair Park on 84th Street. I can't-
Well,
Oh, is that little hair dog trimming place?
There's a nail salon in there, I thought.
Mr. Chair, the applicant's here if you wanted to ask him.
oh,
Oh. Who is he?
Oh, what building are you going into?
Me?
Yeah,
It's 11.
yeah, I got the address, but what was there before?
I think it was beauties for like
Beauty
plus-size
parlor?
women. Maybe,
Oh.
I don't know if you have me mixed up with the other person. 1141 South 72nd Street is that.
Oh,
It's called, the business is called All Goods.
that's
Okay.
not the address we have.
Yeah, we
No.
got 1127.
We're looking for,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's my home address. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Okay.
know where you live, and I'm like,
It says
is he gonna do this out of his
for
house?
premises at 1127.
Okay.
So it's probably a typo here. So, yeah,
So what's the address?
1411.
Yeah, the
The license premise is
Okay.
1411.
Oh, it's oh, okay.
I'll just leave it.
Can we act on this because it's not noticed, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we can.
Yeah, I think that's a legal problem,
It's a
unfortunately.
complete, I mean, that's.
Not yours.
That's more than just a typo.
Ours.
That's a completely different address. Nobody
Oh, is it all the people looking?
has notice of.
So what is
of
the
where it
address?
Could be someone living on 72nd Street. might be
1411.
what-
1411.
very
South
much against
72nd.
this.
Yeah, 72nd right off Greenfield.
It's likely from the application.
Okay.
I do want to say
Well, it's a
that
different district, too.
I am scheduled to open, or like,
Yes, he has everything scheduled for opening and everything, and this is, it's technically our mistake.
Yeah, well.
Are there
wait,
temporary?
Tell me the address again.
no, I'm sorry.
Where's the business gonna be?
14.
It's gonna be right across.
1411.
South 72nd,
Across from Laughing Grass.
It is.
A half a block off of Greenfield,
Right
on the
next
west side of the street.
right,
Next
in
to
in
the-
downtown.
2 blocks from my house. I didn't get a notice.
Awesome, yeah.
Well, and this isn't a zoning issue.
No,
This
no,
is a
no,
license
no,
issue.
no.
There wouldn't be a notice.
Okay, I'll,
Give me one moment, let me take a look at
okay.
the state law on this. If you don't mind holding it for just a second.
Good to see you.
Yeah, see.
Oh, there.
Yeah. A Perfect Plus Boutique is what was there.
That is correct, yeah. And then I think there was like a photo studio after that,
Yeah.
maybe, not sure.
Can't
Somebody
picture
did
it.
knock on the door and ask for a photo studio though.
My internet is now down, so.
Why is this not coming up?
That's behind step one.
So, see, the problem here is because it was noticed and it's in the agenda and everything at this address, if somebody was to be opposed to it
Right,
at that address, they didn't know that it's even gonna be there.
right.
So we're just checking with the city attorney on how we can work this out.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Rowe.
you live at 1127 South 84th?
I do, yes.
Okay, that's your home. Thank you.
For any type of provisional license or anything like that.
Pardon me?
I'm looking for any type of provisional license because state law on public notice for meetings does require that the public be reasonably apprised of
Right.
what's going on. Given that location is one of the few facts that's included in the notice, it would be very important for that to be
I
accurate.
agree.
So
Do
I'm
we have
looking
such
for
a
any-
thing as a temporary?
I'm looking for it right now.
Oh,
And
thought
Mr.
maybe
Chair,
you would.
While you have it, what kind of business, it's not a pawn shop? What-
No, absolutely not. It's more of a vintage specialty type of store, nostalgic items. If you could think of like tour T-shirts from the '80s.
Is that clothing?
There are some clothing.
Not exclusively clothing.
Not
The
exclusively
80s is
clothing, a lot of-
nostalgic?
The vintage from the
If
eighties.
you think the '90s is actually 30 years ago already almost.
Isn't that
so,
crazy?
So stuff like that. If you think about like Mickey Mouse and you think about like Bart Simpson
guess I'm
and stuff like
nostalgic.
that, and sports teams too. I got a lot of Packers stuff and Bucks and Brewers stuff that's vintage that they consider vintage, but
And you're required to use the Nooper system, right, when you buy things from customers you're familiar with all,
I
right?
was I was
Okay.
notified of that. Although I'm not going to be purchasing in store from people.
Oh, okay.
So it's
So you
not
have
gonna
other
be-
sources? you
I
buy.
do, yeah. And I already have an established online business that I have close to 3,000 items, so I had to move out of the house and expand the business because it was a successful business for the past 5 years online.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Which other way?
It's a shall issue license if the applicant's qualified, but this is just a notice issue now. I can't
So-
find anything that would allow a
A temporary?
temporary.
So, Mr. Chair,
Alderman.
what you're saying is it's something that we'd be compelled to give unless there was some other reason, but because of the notification, we have to.
Correct.
And when is your,
Well, it's my birthday Friday.
This
30
Friday.
35 years old, so I was having like a family and friends kind of soft opening, and then I've been advertising Saturday as being the opening. And due to the fact that I didn't know, because I wasn't buying items from people coming
Mhm.
in, I didn't know if I needed a secondhand license because I'm actually not purchasing like Record Head is or
Right.
Pawn America or something
So
like
why
that.
does he even need a secondhand license?
According to the code, it says purchasing or selling. Or.
When I read it, I
Well,
thought
he-
it said buying and selling, so buying and then selling what I bought. I thought that's why,
Yeah.
I know I talked to you, but I was like, since I'm not.
Okay.
gonna
Mr.
be-
Chair, if I could,
Sorry.
I thought the secondhand license allowed him to buy things in his store from people who brought things into his store.
I think that was the intention. But the code says buying or selling.
You're saying that any clothing store that needs a secondhand dealer's license?
If
Because
you're selling a
unless they're
second-
making the clothes themselves.
No.
Because they're buying it somewhere.
I thought about that too. It's
Yeah.
like you can get it from.
Okay, one
sorry.
second.
So all a secondhand article dealer is anyone who engages in the business of purchasing or selling secondhand articles. And there's a few exceptions, but a secondhand articles is basically anything that has been pre-owned.
Well, everything's pre-owned. It's owned by the wholesaler you bought it from.
Wholesaler, no, pre-owned meaning used at retail, sold at retail on a prior date.
We gotta work this out.
By the
Yeah.
consumer.
Um,
Well, I guess, yeah, the distinction is, if this was a zoning issue, then definitely we could not proceed. This is a license issue, which is something
Well-
different than a zoning issue.
But,
And I'm trying to find a way to finagle to say
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
The hard part is it's almost not even a licensing issue, it's a public notice issue really is the
Right.
problem.
Could you notice it or list it as a typo, Gail?
If
I don't
it,
even
if
know.
it
The
was
address
like,
is so
we
far
misspelled
off.
his name, yes, but
It's so
we
far off.
specifically identified a separate address.
You can tell which way we want to go.
Yeah.
Now we're caught in a
We were really glad we had a
technicality.
lawyer
Just to
before.
also let you know the financial, like,
You can have a license to
Burden.
operate out of your home.
The financial burden, a lot of money and time that was put in.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
there'd
tried
be
to
a-
do it on a short notice because
That's why
we
we're
wanted-
trying to get to
Yeah,
a
we're
yes here.
trying to get the yes.
It's important that I'm successful in West Allis
Yeah.
and like get off on the right foot,
Yeah.
and waiting an additional week or.
It would be
month.
2 weeks. It
Okay.
would be the next council meeting.
And there's gonna be people showing up on Saturday, for sure. This is,
Well,
and Friday night as well.
hmm.
If there is any way for a temporary thing, that's okay with me, absolutely. Even even if you would consider, like, I guess would be up there, but, you know.
Yeah.
I understand, I'm a small business person. Right now, all the money's going into fixing the place up and getting this stuff there, and no money's walking through the door. So I understand it fully. There's gotta be a way.
Even if I just withdraw my concern and I think we can just go ahead and
Well,
act.
I don't think we can just turn our,
Our head on the law and the important issues of public notice for
How-
open meetings.
How far away is the actual place?
It's not close.
12 mile.
Mile.
Yeah, it's under a mile.
Get there in 3
Because-
minutes.
It is noticed for approval at that address, so you could approve the sales from that address. And then from your new location, you could send people to your home.
That's not gonna.
That's,
I'm trying to think of a way to make the transaction occur at
he's
your
already got
house.
the stuff there.
It could be at the store.
can you,
This is the Cheers episode where they
With-
lost their liquor license and they
Right.
sold non-alcoholic beer.
Um,
And people got drunk.
Okay,
And then would there be, if, let's say you do that, right? Because I'm used to doing everything online. I can have somebody process transactions at my house or something, right? But,
You can just pick up at the store?
would they be able to, would you be able to then, get
Yeah.
it corrected, obviously, because.
transfer
Yeah.
transfer the license over at the
notice.
next meeting?
Right,
that's where I'm leaning now, but I'm trying to think of a way to make this work.
because eventually, I mean, I wanna be operating,
And I'm sort of coming up with this on the fly, so.
right.
Probably open. I mean, I know you. I know you're a good business person. You're a good character, and
okay.
It's definitely gonna be an asset, like, for the city, bringing people into
Yeah.
West Allis, from downtown West Allis.
right.
Really, like, see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Alderman Shaplesky, he would like to see the application.
Ms. Grill had a good point. We're gonna be meeting Tuesday for a budget hearing. We can put this on the agenda with the correct address for Tuesday.
The next Tuesday?
Yeah, that doesn't help for
Too late.
Said
this
that's
weekend.
for Saturday.
That would be the soonest if we can't.
Or
sort
just
of-
have a special before, sometime this week.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with a quick special meeting
We have
too.
a special meeting this Thursday?
That was what Ms. Grill really said, and then I misinterpreted it.
Okay,
Thank you.
glad this is on there.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to do a special meeting sometime this week.
Thank you very
Other
much, I
than
really
that.
appreciate it.
Okay,
Does he just need the license from the committee, or does he need the whole council?
You need the whole council, but there need to be 7 people present for it, so if you get 7 to show up on Thursday, that's good enough.
And which day?
Thursday. Well,
Anytime before.
Thursday works.
What time?
well, you wouldn't need to be
Okay.
here.
Couldn't be tomorrow night though, because we wouldn't have 24 hours. Unless it
Yeah, it
was
can't be
at-
tomorrow.
Unless it was at 9 o'clock and Steve gets a notice how it
okay,
may
so.
Do we need a couple
Thursday's
days
the soonest we can
to-
do it.
24 hours.
And.
24
uh,
only? Oh.
We're gonna need 7 people here. So if we got the committee, we need 2 other people.
And the council president has to okay the special meeting.
And we usually charge a fee for that,
Yeah.
but we're gonna waive that. fee.
There will waive that, yeah.
Okay,
We'll charge the clerk's office.
so let's,
Yeah, I think it's
let-
our
let's-
error. We're not going to
let's-
charge
let's
for a
plan-
special meeting.
Let's plan a meeting then. Just make sure we have a couple other people here.
I can make it
Okay.
Thursday.
What day?
So it'll be a committee meeting?
Thursday.
And then we have to have a council meeting after that?
Yeah.
The committee is charged with this, but frankly, if you wanted right now, you could refer this matter back to, well, actually, it's gonna be a brand new item now, because it wouldn't be
Different address,
application
yeah.
address. So you'd be published, and the committee could just meet all 7 people in one room, 5 of you could act on it, and then immediately have a council meeting right after that, act on it. You could do it from inside the chambers if you wanted to.
30-second council meeting.
Okay,
Hmm?
this Thursday, what time?
6 p.m.
6 works.
Okay? 6 okay for everybody here? Okay. Schedule it, and that's when we'll do it.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Would I need to attend that or anything?
You
You don't have to.
Thank you very much.
You're more than
You have to
welcome.
pick up your,
To finalize this one, I would move to postpone indefinitely on this one, just to end this item.
Put it on file.
Just place it on file?
Place on
However, yeah, whatever you'd like.
For
Okay, do I have a motion to place this on file?
So moved.
sec,
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, we're gonna be able to still waive the fee then on the next application that he's gonna make if we put this one on file?
As that is a fee that is imposed outside of state licensing, and so.
We can do
locally
that.
Imposed fee, then it'd be local.
Okay, good, because I would hope we would do that.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Wow.
Motion carries, yes. Motion to.
This evening's full of all sorts of fun stuff.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And I don't know why.
Okay. All right, the Administration and Finance Committee will come to order. All 5 members are present. Starting on our agenda with item 18, an ordinance creating section 5.
move approval.
Alderman Weigel.
Right.
Is there a second?
Woo, number, oh,
18.
yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I would ask if the chief would come up, because I think he had a couple of quick amendments he was interested in making.
Sure.
Good evening. So what you have before you is a proposal to amend the fire prevention code for the city to include the allowance for us to charge for businesses that have multiple false fire alarms every year. Become a growing problem in our city in the past 10 years or so, they've more than doubled. Also, given the budgetary concerns of the city, this is a way to help offset a little bit of the revenue. I know some of you have businesses in your various districts that may be affected, so I did print out.
You got the frequent flyer list?
Yes. So this is 2018 data. This is everybody that had more than one false alarm. The proposed ordinance in front of you would bill at 3 and higher, so I tried to group them together, so whenever you see more than 3 in one area there, that.
Well, we're supposed to, we don't have names on here.
No. So the initial proposal in front of you, there was one concern that was brought up, and that is particular to residential facilities like Village at Manor Park. There's a lot of like burnt toast and things like that as well, the fire alarm system there. So I do have a proposed amendment to what you have in front of you, which would be, I should have printed one for everybody, but it'd be adding a paragraph number 4 at the end. So if it's a residential facility, the fee would be assessed based on the apartment number and not the base address. So if the same person burns food multiple times a year, that would create a fee. But if this person burns food and then the neighbor burns
Right.
food and the third neighbor burns food, nobody's getting a bill there. But if the same person repeatedly is doing something that causes that alarm to go off, then the fee could be assessed.
I can see that Village of Manor Park is gonna be rewriting their residential
Well,
contracts.
So, in 2018, there were only a handful that had multiple repeat apartment numbers at Village of Manor Park, so it's not very
No,
normal. for
not
us.
just them, I'm talking about,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
The police department has it for false alarms already.
Correct.
They already have it, so this isn't
Yep.
really out of the ordinary.
Nope, nothing new as far as the city's concerned. And then I know Alderman Weigel always asks what our neighbors do. This is a breakout of fees of our neighboring
I'll get you off.
departments.
Ready to go, Mason. Thank you.
So, we could go a lot more strict if you want to do
River
it.
Hills,
Copy River
$1,000.
Hills if you want to
For
for
the
the
first
first one.
They got the.
River Hills has,
They don't have, it's all residential.
it's all residential.
And they can afford it.
And they can afford it. Yeah, that's odd that it's the same, served by the same fire department.
Yeah.
But having different schedules. The
Yep.
North Shore Fire Department and the North Shore suburbs are all different.
And what are we gonna do?
So what do we need?
So the proposal before you is to bill $200 flat fee for the third and subsequent alarms throughout the year, based on a calendar year.
Mr. Chair?
All right, so, yes, Alderman Weigel.
So I see our one and only hotel on here.
Yep. So they have had an issue, they've gotten better lately.
Or, well, you know, major hotel.
But when they first opened, they had an issue with whoever designed their system put the smoke alarms too close to the bathroom. So whenever a guest would have a steamy shower and open that door, the steam would roll out and set up the smoke alarm. They have since, from what I understand, changed out their smoke alarms to a different style, and they have had not as many issues, but it still happens from time to time. We'd also plan to reach out to some of the heaviest hitters on here and give them a heads up so that they didn't come out of left field.
Yeah, I see my neighbors across the street are on here too.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Alderman Chabesky.
Make a motion
Yeah.
to approve it as amended.
And, well, we need to accept the amendment.
You wanna-
Well, we can just do it as amended, as long as we all understand what's
have an
going on here.
Right.
And we agree, but, and Alderman Rote, you had a concern?
No, I just wanted to
Need a second.
Yep.
kind of see, you had mentioned Hampton Inn already, and we had talked at length that it's address specific.
Correct.
Do you need a second? I'll second.
And I think at,
Thank you. Go ahead, Alderman Rote.
yeah, I'm sorry, was I interrupting?
We didn't have a second yet, but go ahead. We got it. now.
That there were only 2 addresses at Village at Manor Park that were repeat offenders, 2 or 3, correct? It was a very small amount.
Yeah, out of the, I think there's 4 or 5 base addresses that are Village at Manor Park related on this list. And just going through those 4 or 5, there were only, I think, 2 or 3 times where I saw the same apartment listed multiple times.
And it was
And it was only twice, it was never that third time,
calendar year, and it resets
January 1.
every year. And I think one of the big offenders or whatever was the hospital, you said. That
The hospital
was
one of the
very
bigger
interesting.
ones. We go there
West
quite
Dallas
often for
Memorial.
false alarms.
And I see 7525 West Greenfield's on here.
Yeah.
Government buildings are, or city-owned buildings are exempt, unless you wanted to change that.
We did have a toaster issue.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman May.
I did have a question raised to me. So for example, I see Central on here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 alarm pulls in 2008. Looks like Lane had 3 that year. And so a question had raised to me, are we really gonna charge the schools for these things? And my counter to that was, well, when I went to Marquette, there was an issue every Friday and Saturday night when one of the dorms, someone would pull the alarm 2, 3 in the morning, when it was happening around that time of day. And so what,
That's
think-
actually
I
time
think
of
that-
night.
I think that might be when Milwaukee, well, they don't have a fee. I thought they had instituted a fee at that point. But what Marquette ended up doing is they put the plastic covers over and they put a powder on the alarm so that if there was a pull, as they're leading people back in, they put their hands in through the black light, and that's how you'd catch it. So the question is should we be also including the schools? I thought that was pretty smart. Should we also be including the schools or not? To me, I think it would be, if it becomes a problem at a school, it would get the school district perhaps to implement that sort of technology. So that was a question raised to me. What do you guys think?
I think the answer is yes, include them, and then we can address it later if there's a problem.
Okay.
And we can, if the school district says, hey, this is unfair to us, we can have a discussion where we can
Work with
act and
them.
remove them.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so we have a motion as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mason.
Thank you.
And then we have a number of bonding items. Item 19, $2.5 million general obligation bonds.
Move approval.
Motion from Alderman Weigel,
Second.
second from Alderman Chaplesky. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
We just do all these.
And
22.
Can we do
Yeah.
20 through 22?
yes,
I'll
thank you.
I'll make the motion for 20 through 22
20 through 22.
Second.
for approval.
For approval.
And a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 23, resolution directing publication of notice to electors.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Alderman May, second from Alderman Weigel. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Move approval on number 24.
Second.
Thank you. And any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 25, buying two unmarked squad cars.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion from Alderman Weigel, second from Alderman Chapleski. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Like that discount.
Item 26, a resolution of the 2020 schedule of fees.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. Item 27, CIVMIC for workers' comp.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 28, the agreement with the Village of West Milwaukee for health services.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 29, Village of West Milwaukee for IT services.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Getting you to the end. Item 30,
Move
city
approval.
policy procedures. Thank you. Is there a second? I second. And any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Aye. Oh! Sorry, Alderman Rote, didn't mean
It's
to
okay.
cut you off. And item 31, resolution to amend policy procedures regarding holidays.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, it just looked like we took out holiday names and added official dates. Is that correct?
Pretty much,
And
yeah.
then- And just determined essentially specifically what's gonna happen around December 24th and 25th when, to ensure 4-day work weeks
Mm-hmm.
around it.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And item 32.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
we're gonna be in third place on this loan, just so the committee knows about that.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, is the seller here by any chance? I don't know why the seller can't help out with the financing a little bit.
Mr. Chair.
That's just a comment.
Yeah, and Alderman May.
I believe CDBG loans are federal loans, and these are made specifically for high risk, so that if they go in default, the city and its taxpayers aren't impacted. The idea is to help encourage development in areas that development may not
Right, but
otherwise occur.
And Mr. Chair, the CBDG money is taxpayer money as well.
It's federal money, yep.
It's, well, yeah.
Given specifically for high risk investments. That's sort of what it's for.
Not technically, but the impression is that it's financing that could not otherwise be obtained through private means. would be the-
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
And that passes.
Not high risk, economically challenged areas.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for also.
Yeah.
Item 33, resolution for city policies and procedures.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 34,
Move approval.
Second.
a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what's driving this? I mean, I read it, but why do we need a policy on it?
Answer that one. So essentially for the city to be able to accept funding from someone who wants to sponsor a city event, or for the city to provide any type of support for an event that it wants to sponsor, a good policy should be in place like this, because Otherwise, there might be accusations of First Amendment violations.
Okay, gotcha.
And so having the policy in place ensures the council's adopting the message of not only the sponsor that sponsors the city, but whatever organization the city may choose to sponsor.
Got it.
And by doing so, you avoid First Amendment issues because it becomes a government speech and then falls entirely outside of that body of jurisprudence.
Mr. Chair.
Got it.
Ms. Grill.
It will also supplement our budget for the event, so that's why it's important going forward, because we put on a lot of events that we would like to have sponsors for, which we currently don't.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And item 35, can I have a motion to place on file?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else properly come before the committee? Okay, can I have a motion
Move to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.